There are so many confusing messages, both in the culture and in the church, and it's difficult to help teach our girls how to live with grace for themselves, for their friends, for their family members. So often as parents, we're struggling to offer ourselves grace and to offer grace to others. So no shame in the process of trying, but bringing to the forefront the reality that we're struggling currently with gender identity and sexual orientation, and the dialogue is enormous. And the youth of the culture right now are passionate about this topic. I've been in the counseling field for 15 years, and prior to that, 10 years in full-time ministry. And it's a number one concern in our counseling offices. We've been seeing it for the last 10 years, parents and kids coming in saying, I'm struggling with my identity. I wonder if I'm lesbian. I'm wondering this, I'm wondering that. The dialogue culturally has become more normal, and so I think we're hearing about it more often. Fear comes up in a lot of us if you're raised in certain parts of the church. And then there's other parts of the church that are saying, well, maybe we got it wrong. Maybe the word doesn't actually mean what it says, and we've just got some confusion. Everyone's just confused. So to simplify it, this is what helps me. It all comes back down to, underneath all those layers, I don't really care what weed we struggle with. I call them weeds, whether it's eating disorder, alcoholism, workaholism. If I'm a busy bee, avoiding what's going on underneath and calling it good because it's ministry. Sexual identity, sexual addiction, pornography, all of those are weeds. And we can pluck away at the weeds. But if the only way that we're going to find healing is when we get to the roots. And so going back to the core fundamental needs, can we go to what do we need as human beings and what's getting missed? Maybe we're over-spiritualizing it. Maybe we've got some abuse in our story that we've not been able to process. So whatever the presenting issue is, for anyone, I think God looks past that. He doesn't see that as scary. We do, but he doesn't see it as scary. And he says, I see you. The adulterous woman, the rich young ruler, there's plenty of examples. Peter, one of his disciples, they're all full of weeds, and yet God sees their heart. So I think that's really a key piece for us as we're walking alongside, whether they're our children, our sister. It's more complex. Our sexuality is an enormous complexity that we're oversimplifying. And so much of what we're exposed to today in our culture is so sexualized. It's confusing the heck out of everybody. And if we understood our sexuality and how it was developed, we'd understand that everybody's being hypersexualized because they're exposed to images and things we never would have been exposed to. TV shows, digital, and then we get fearful and we're like, we need to go hide in the woods. I know I think that once in a while. That's not helpful either. So being able to take a deep breath and to go, God is working. This isn't the worst in history. In fact, I read the word and I know what was happening in the Church of Corinth and Ephesians and the Church of Ephesus. It's profound, the things that they were struggling with. So God's got this. And if we can pull away the weeds and get to the roots, every single one of us needs to be loved, known, to learn that we can make it through whatever storm and that we're not alone. And so I think oftentimes, especially those that we're raising now, the children in our home, they need to know that we're not scared. We're not scared of whatever they might be tempted with and struggle with. So to be able to talk about things, to be able to get help if we need it, if we're like, I'm not equipped to handle this, it's huge. And to continue to go back to God loves you. But God also has a plan for us and a design, and not to veer from that piece. And the design is pretty profound and clear. I'm passionate about this topic. It's so hard and complex, but I just keep wanting to tell parents, let's not panic. Let's know that we can go here with our kids, and our kids just need to know that we can journey the long haul with them. Grace takes the long view. It always takes the long view. And sometimes we get really short-sighted. I know I do. I start to get that panicky feeling. But watch and see what God does when we focus on the roots rather than the weeds. And being able to just talk to our kids in the same way. when they're starting to talk about a friend at school, to say, I wonder what's happening underneath the surface. I wonder why they're doing that. I wonder if their heart's hurting in any way. Those kinds of dialogues help us to see past the behaviors and have more grace for where we're at in the journey.